If it wasn't for Chase 524, my credit card setup would look much different than what it is today. Because this rule has locked me out of Chase's ecosystem for over a year now, I've been getting cards from other issuers instead, mainly American Express. This rule is hated by pretty much everyone in the credit card community, and this is because, let's face it, being locked out of Chase's ecosystem kind of sucks. Chase has some really good everyday use cards, a robust point system with flexible rewards, and of course, very valuable sign-up bonuses. But what if I told you that some good can actually come out of the Chase 524 rule? An unpopular opinion for sure, but just hear me out. Briefly, the Chase 524 rule is where if you've opened 5 or more personal credit cards across all issuers within the past 24 months, you will automatically be denied for any new Chase credit cards. Of course, there's going to be exceptions to this rule, and this has been becoming more and more common recently, but the Chase 524 rule still affects many of us, and so we still need to treat this rule with the respect it deserves, for now. And so let's start this conversation out by talking about how it's a great bank to start with if you're just beginning your credit card journey. Not only do they have robust banking products for kids and teens like Chase First Banking, they also have recently released a new card, the Chase Freedom Rise, that's specifically for people to start building credit. And since there's a Chase 524 rule, it's better to start with Chase cards because when you start, you are literally at 0.24. So this rule almost guides you in a certain direction when it comes to first building your credit card setup. And this leads me into the first reason why the Chase 524 rule could be a good thing, and that's because with this rule in place, you have to strategically plan your credit card setup. Put another way, this rule forces you to think critically about your credit card setup and if that next credit card, whether it be from Chase or not, is actually worth getting. So as I mentioned before, one strategy is to start your credit card journey with Chase credit cards. This makes a lot of sense since you have a clean slate at this point, and assuming you start with the Chase Freedom Rise card, you have an easy path to complete the very powerful yet affordable Chase Trifecta. The most common version of the Chase Trifecta consists of the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Freedom Flex, and the Chase Freedom Unlimited cards, which is probably now going to be replaced with the Chase Freedom Rise card. And if you start your journey on this path, you're in a great position because of these two reasons. The first is that you start the countdown timer on the Freedom and Sapphire cards to when you can get another sign-up bonus on those cards. And this is because even though Chase lets you get multiple sign-up bonuses on the same card, you can only do so after you've waited a certain period of time. With the Freedom cards, you need to wait at least 24 months, and with the Sapphire cards, you need to wait at least 48 months. The second reason is if you just got these 3 Chase cards, you'd still be at 324, so you still could get another personal credit card and also still have access to Chase business cards. I know that when you're just starting out with credit cards, business cards are usually not on your radar, but it's important to keep them in mind even at this point in your journey. This is because Chase business cards will not show up on your personal credit report, and so they won't add to your Chase 524 status, but you can only apply for them if you're under 524. And understanding this concept is very important because at 424, you'll still have access to Chase business credit cards and their lucrative sign-up bonuses. But once you're at 524, this door closes. So that's great to know if you're just starting out, but what if you're already well underway with your credit card setup? After getting all the important Chase credit cards, a lot of people usually just leave Chase altogether to get credit cards from other banks. And I will say that once you start down this road, it takes a long time to get back under Chase 524 again. So that's why it's so important to understand the nuances of the Chase 524 rule. So if you're well over Chase 524, you can develop a plan and a strategy to get back under Chase 524 and stay there. The issue is that there are so many great credit cards and sign-up bonuses out there, and it's hard to pass up a good sign-up bonus. But I know, at least for myself, that I only really need 3 to 5 credit cards long-term, so it's not a bad thing to be patient to get under Chase 524 to have access to those cards again. The Chase 524 rule has put a slight barrier for any personal credit card applications for myself, but this has turned out to be a good thing because if it wasn't for the Chase 524 rule, it would be very easy for me to get carried away and apply for multiple sign-up bonuses, which can be a little bit dangerous. And that leads me to the second reason why the Chase 524 rule could be a good thing, and that's because it discourages over-applying for credit cards. And I'm not just talking about just Chase credit cards, but all credit cards. So, picture this scenario. You're on your computer, minding your own business, when suddenly you see an amazing sign-up bonus offer that you can't believe is being offered. You excitedly decide to apply for the offer, but what should be the next thought that goes through your mind? Exactly, it's the Chase 524 rule spoiling all of your fun. And that's because the Chase 524 rule will affect the way you approach credit card applications depending on your current status. Usually it's the credit score and credit report that are the focus of attention when applying for a credit card, but for those of us who apply for sign-up bonuses, the Chase 524 rule is just as important. So let's see how this one rule affects your mindset when approaching a credit card application. If you're between 024 and 324, the Chase 524 rule would probably have little to no effect on your decision to get the card. Likewise, if you're 8, 10, 15, or 2024, it's highly likely that you don't even care about Chase 524 anyways, and this rule will also have little to no effect on your decision to get this card. But if you're between 424 and like 724, you're probably someone who cares at least a little bit about your Chase 524 status, and you'll have a little hesitation before getting that new card, even though it has that amazing sign-up bonus. And you'll have to weigh the pros and cons of getting that card with its new sign-up bonus, multipliers, perks, and benefits, and weigh that against being locked out of the Chase ecosystem until you're back under Chase 524. So you can see, without the Chase 524 rule, it's actually much easier to just go for a new card whenever you want, which sounds good, but having that extra rule to think about is something that can be very helpful if you're someone who's trigger happy when it comes to applying for credit cards. On the other hand, if you care about the Chase 524 rule and you want to get Chase cards in the future, you have to think very carefully when you apply for that new credit card. Of course, if you decide to go for business cards with banks such as American Express, Bank of America, or even Chase Bank itself, these cards will not count towards your Chase 524 status, as we discussed earlier. And if you've been following my credit card journey, you'd know that I've applied for mainly business credit cards over the past year because I've been over Chase 524 for way too long. And this brings me to the third reason why the Chase 524 rule could be a good thing, and that's because it's a great reason to garden your credit card setup. Now, credit card gardening is when you stop applying for new credit cards or taking any actions that may result in a hard inquiry on your credit report to let your credit cards age on your account to increase your credit score. But for a lot of us credit card enthusiasts who already have good credit scores, our version of credit card gardening is really when you stop applying for any new credit cards for the sole purpose of getting under Chase 524. And I can tell you from personal experience that if this rule wasn't in place, I would have way more credit cards and way more inquiries on my credit report than I do now. But I'd also say that I'm happy with the way that my credit card portfolio has turned out, and that largely has to do with Chase 524. Since I applied for multiple personal credit cards in 2022, I quickly went over 524 that year, and I've spent this entire year guarding my credit card setup trying to get back under Chase 524. But if the Chase 524 rule wasn't in place, I'm pretty sure I'd have kept applying for a lot more personal credit cards, which would have showed up on my personal credit report, lowering my credit score, at least temporarily. Now, if you don't have access to business credit cards, or if that's something you don't want to get into right now, gardening your credit card setup without getting any business cards is also a reasonable option. Not only will this raise your credit score if you continue to make on-time payments, but this will also give you some time to enjoy the credit cards that you already have and take advantage of the multipliers, benefits, and perks on those cards. By using cards in your current credit card portfolio, you may even discover something new about your spending habits, and then you'll be able to plan ahead for another credit card that would be a great fit. Remember that your credit card journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Definitely enjoy the journey because there will always be another limited time sign-up bonus. And to be honest, these bonuses get better and better every year. So even if you see one that you really want, don't worry, chances are you'll end up seeing it again, and it'll probably be even better than before. So with the Chase 524 rule, your credit card journey can change drastically depending on how important Chase credit cards are to you. On one hand, Chase Bank has one of the most flexible point currencies that can be redeemed for cash back, travel, or even transfer partners for maximum value, which is why the Ultimate Rewards program has been a fan favorite. But if you want to earn these UR points and earn them quickly, sign-up bonuses are the answer. And the Chase 524 rule is how you'll have to pay to play. But it's not all bad because as long as you truly understand how the Chase 524 rule works, you can strategically plan your credit card setup and make sure that that next credit card you get is worth a Chase 524 slot. With that in mind, some would consider the Chase 524 rule as a limitation, but I would consider it to be more of a guide. Especially when starting out, it's very important to take your time when applying for new credit cards. It's really important to develop good financial habits with credit cards like paying your bill in full and on time. Of course, we want to develop our core credit card setup as fast as possible, but once that's done, it's time to move on to sign-up bonuses. And you definitely don't want to miss out on some of these sign-up bonuses on Chase credit cards, which can be very, very good. But you want to make sure that you don't overdo it with sign-up bonuses. I say this because I've had this happen to me when I applied for 3 American Express credit cards within 3 months in 2021, and I was facing multiple sign-up bonuses at once when I could have just taken my time with each one. And those cards were the Amex Platinum card, Amex Gold card, and the Amex Green card. And these sign-up bonuses on each of these cards were 100,000 MR points for $6,000 in spend in 6 months, 75,000 MR points for $4,000 spent in 3 months, and 45,000 MR points for $2,000 in spend in 3 months, respectively. I had to come up with some creative ways to get all of those sign-up bonuses completed, but if I had just spaced out my applications, I would have been in a much better place. And if I had waited, I also may have had the opportunity to get even higher sign-up bonuses on these same cards. For example, the Platinum has a bonus of 125 to 150k MR points, the Gold has as high as 90k MR points, and don't even get me started on that amazing Green card sign-up bonus. Now, do I think that the Chase 524 rule will be around forever? Well, probably, but you never know. We've already seen some exceptions of people getting approved for co-branded credit cards while over Chase 524, like the Southwest and Amazon cards, business credit cards like the Inc. series, and even the Chase Sapphire Preferred when it had its limited 80k UR points bonus earlier this year. But others have still been denied for Chase cards while being over 524, so I think it's still a rule that will continue to be a part of our lives as credit card enthusiasts. And I hope this video helps put the Chase 524 rule in a different light, and for right now, it's a rule that we do have to live with, but with the right mindset, we can have this rule work for us instead of against us. So do you think there are any positives with the Chase 524 rule, or am I the only one who thinks this? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you want to know what your first 5 credit cards should be, check out this video next.